this business 8 hours a day, 6 days a week at least.
It's not uncommon during the middle of the week to with 35, 40 items.
Like you figure out what works.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to the FlipSide Reseller Roundtable, where we have a mix of reseller perspectives, different experiences, and different approaches. But ultimately, we've all got the same goal to keep it real about what works in reselling. How are y'all this week?
We're good. I'm good.
Doing good. Yay.
Yeah. It's hot here.
It's hot.
For Minnesota, we don't do 99 degrees. That's what it is today. That's actual temperature. So that's really hot for us. So.
I don't even want to go outside. Yard sales this weekend were rough.
We had our county fair. And that was rough.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Did y'all do any sourcing this past weekend? I'm asking the.
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't either.
We did all weekend.
We did.
Okay. Can't have been the only one. I actually didn't find much this weekend. Did y'all get some good stuff?
I got some really good stuff during the week.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, we are going to be talking about where the sales are, where your sales are, where my sales are, and where we expect them to be in the coming Q4. So, I'm not ready. Are you guys?
I probably am not.
I'm definitely.
I'll get there. I'll get ready.
Let's ask the people who have over 5,000 listings in their stores. What do you guys think?
I want to be more cross-listed before Q4 because currently I only have about 3,500 to 4,000 of my listings actually cross-listed across all the other platforms. So I still have about 3,500 to 4,000 that are not cross-listed. So I'm trying to get everything cross-listed before Q4. So that's when the other platforms really kick off. They're a little slower in the summer compared to eBay, and just trying to get all caught up before the big sales come.
I don't know if it's different for you, Sean. Is it easier to cross-list something that you already have listed, or do you find it easier to just start a whole new listing? Because I have some stuff
it's way easier if it's already listed because you just all the pictures and the weights and the descriptions and the titles are already there, and you just click a couple buttons and it's on the next platform.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe it's mental for me because I find it more difficult to go and do those cross listings than just to list new stuff that's like fun and exciting. What about you guys, Cougars Corner?
I agree with Sean. I list everything on eBay first, and then the rest is so easy. Really? And I think eBay is the easiest platform to put your initial listing on, because we've talked about this before. Sean and I both use the Sell Similar, and if you can find your item that somebody else just sold in the last 30 days, it's easy to just get it listed, change the criteria that you need to, and then Nifty just makes it easy.
Are we all using Nifty? Is that right? So I have a question for you that upload to eBay first and then cross list. Maybe I answered my own question, but I'll say it for those who might have the same question. I was finding that once I would import like a listing that I already had, I had to then go through and like click every like Etsy or whatever. I had to click each one to then list it, rather than when I uploaded a picture onto Nifty, it just cross lists to all of them at the same time. But I think that changed, or I don't know if I was doing something wrong actually. Anyway, since we're on the topic, Code Rocket City for Nifty. Yeah.
He's the one they're the ones that got me started.
Yes.
Nifty.
Ruthanne, how long have you been on Nifty?
About a year now.
Oh, wow.
So
I thought you were
It's a game changer.
It's okay.
It's a game changer. It makes things so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I just started in May. It's definitely
the one thing that I don't understand happens, and maybe one of you guys can explain. why does Nifty change the price? So when you list it on eBay, let's just say you list something for $85. Then when you list it over onto, especially Poshmark, the price always gets changed.
Isn't there like a new pricing setting?
That's what it is. I think it's doing it so it's based on the fees of the different platforms, I'm guessing. So
Okay.
like if you have a $100 item on eBay, it may bump the price up on Poshmark, so you still come out roughly around the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can set that up in your settings. You have to go to your settings and you can set up if you want them to be the same price or if you want to charge, say, 15 or 20% more on Poshmark.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's actually a little new, I think. At least I just started figuring it out. Are you guys using that function?
We're not using that function, but I will say a couple weeks ago, Sean clued us off onto the automation part of Nifty, and that has really helped us with Poshmark and a little bit to a lesser extent Depop, but we were not using the automation much on Nifty. And I had told him at that time, I was like, we're criminally underutilizing Nifty for what we were paying for it.
Yeah.
And it was essentially, we were just pushing the listings from eBay over to Poshmark. And we've been doing that for a few months. And I was getting a couple sales, a day here and there. But once we, started utilizing the automation side of it, and it, sends the shares out and it does the likes and the reciprocal likes and all, whatever it does, it sends the offers. Like it's gone from a couple sales a day, now we're like 8 to 10 sales per day on Poshmark. So that's been a huge help. And thanks Sean for letting us know. But anybody else out there, if you're not, kind of fully embracing all of the functionality that Nifty has, I think, it'd be worthwhile to look into it, especially with those other platforms, because it really does make a big difference.
Definitely.
I had to look. I had to get on my platform and look. Do you also automatically send offers?
I use Nifty to send automatic offers for Poshmark. I still do our offers on eBay. There's something mentioned on Nifty that says that we like to have counter offers. If we send a seller offer on eBay, I like to be able to get a counter offer back from a buyer, and I don't know that Nifty allows that. There was some note that I had read. So unless I'm wrong about that, we don't do automatic offers on Nifty for eBay, but we do for Poshmark and Depop.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about the automation on eBay this weekend. I've probably had, I think it was 7 sales of items that were over 2 years old on eBay. And I went back and looked, and they were all items that Nifty had automatically in the background delisted and relisted for me on eBay, and that made them appear as new listings. And I went back and looked, and they had all just been recently relisted by Nifty in the background without me having to go in and do it manually. So.
Yeah, that's good. I've tried that. I haven't had much success yet on the recreates, but I have noticed it. But I do cap it at like 10 to 20 a day. We have several that would get recreated, but I've kind of, throttled that down just to make it a little more manageable. But I have, what is interesting on there is you can have an automatic price reduction on those recreates, which is nice, because if it's a listing that's, old and you want to automatically decrease the price by 5 or 10%, Nifty will recreate it and then change that price based on whatever you've inputted. And that's been pretty nice to be able to mark those down slightly.
That's a nice thing to put on autopilot, especially for those older items that have been sitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I better check that out. I got a lot of older items.
Okay, let's do a speed round. Best sale of the week, Ruthanne.
I got to say my glass.
Yeah, you've been killing it with the glass. We'll come back around to the whatnot shows and stuff, because I know you had another big show, right?
Yeah. I did a crazy dollar amount of glass last week.
Yeah,
crazy.
Okay, Sean, best sale of the week. Are you looking it up?
Scroll sales real quick. I've had a couple in the $200-$300 range, so
nice.
I don't know the best one off.
I'm happy
I'll just tell you guys.
Sean doesn't remember either.
I'm like, mine's $50. Okay, so it was a Land Before Time plush. So I mean that was mine before you guys one up me.
There's a Pioneer stereo receiver that for $165 and a pair of boots for $150, and there's a few in that range.
I guess my best eBay sale this week, and my friend gave it to me. A friend gave it to me. He didn't like it. It was wool. Was a Pendleton. I sold a vintage Pendleton for $121.50.
Does that mean you guys are coming to the dark side and doing clothing? Or?
Oh yes, I do. I do vintage clothing sometimes.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I picked up a vintage Christmas button-up. I think it's women's blouse button-up. I don't even know what to name it. That's how bad I am. But I picked it up.
Now's the
like
time.
$30, and I paid $2 for it. So
now's the time to get that thing listed.
yes.
Gary will wait until after Christmas to list it.
She always gives me trouble because, like, I'll list a American flag 4th of July shirt on
The day
July
after.
5th.
Yeah.
And just miss it for some reason.
Listen, that's my ADHD brain. What about you guys?
Late and $1 short.
Best sale of the week.
Probably we sold a Johnny Was dress for $100.
I've got that stuck in my head. Johnny Was. I'm looking at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you see it, grab it.
I love it.
We've been
Was it
seeing
like a
some
pattern or anything?
Yeah, it was like a floral pattern. We've been seeing a few multi-item sales, which have helped. Like, people will buy 4 or 5 different items at once, and so I think that helps. Get your gross sales up a little bit, average sale price up a little bit, more items out the door.
Love it. Overall, how have sales been? I know we talked about summer slowdown, I think, on the last episode. Are we still seeing that? Are we seeing a tick up in sales, or where are we at with that?
I can't say that I feel a summer slowdown. If there's any slowdown in my static stores, it's on me. It's my own thing, because I'm putting so much into Whatnot that I'm having a hard time, doing all of it good justice. So my static listings have been a little slow, but because I've stopped. Okay, I have a term called bread and butter items, and I don't list bread and butter items anymore on the static platforms. So if it's not going to sell for $45, $50, I don't list anything that's going to sell for less than $40 on a static platform.
If Bob were here, he would tell you that those $10 sales are going to add up faster than that one.
Yeah, he probably
I
would.
hope he would appreciate that.
But Bob doesn't have as much of a space issue as I've got.
Yeah.
So I don't want something sitting over there on the shelf I'm only going to make $20 on. I just want that on Whatnot and out the door.
Yeah.
So
I can appreciate that. I've been struggling a little bit because I've been still listing those $10 to $20 items. And I'm like, I should just do a Whatnot show. But I don't have the time, the space, the setup, all of it. I don't know. I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Sean?
Well, this past week, I was having a really good week. I actually got a good story and a conspiracy why my sales fell off.
Oh, snap.
So I had like 4 or 5. I had like 4 or 5 days in a row between $1,200 and $1,500.
Dang.
And then I believe it was Tuesday. Well, last week I sold a vintage stereo receiver for like $850 or $865 or something like that. I went through the whole process. I went and made sure I had big bubble. I pull noodled. I double boxed it. Well, the glass screen on the front must have got shocked and it broke.
Oh.
So the guy wanted to return it, which he has every right to return it. So he opened up a return and sent it back. FedEx, and I got some very good Blink doorbell footage of it. When they went to bring it back, the guy just came up on my porch and slammed it down. And then he starts yelling in my camera, I need a signature. I need a signature. But he didn't try to knock on the door or ring the doorbell. My wife was home because she's a school teacher and on summer break. So he picked it up because I think it was 85 pounds. It was like a big giant one. And he walks away like, this is bullshit. And he's walking back to his truck and left a note to have us sign it for the next day. So my wife pulled it off, signed it to have it dropped off the next day. The next day, FedEx shows up. They pull in my driveway. A guy gets out of his truck and opens the door and goes and lifts a stereo receiver. And you could just kind of see the look of defeat in his eye, like he didn't want to carry it to my porch. He just shoved it back in the FedEx truck. He got back in and just backed out of the driveway and didn't even attempt to deliver it. So then I was looking at the tracking, and they sent it back to the buyer. And I think my return shipping was like $65 that I had to pay to have it returned. So as soon as the buyer gets it back, they opened up a case, rightfully so, that they tried to return it, and eBay refunded them their $900 some with the shipping and everything. So I got on eBay and I opened up there's a spot on the bottom of the return if there's an issue, and you can request a call. So I called them and said, hey, this is what happened. It got sent back. So now I'm out the stereo receiver is parts only to begin with. In working condition, it was a $1,500 stereo receiver. So I was like, now I'm out $900 stereo receiver that I could probably still resell as parts only. And the money. And if you look, the delivery is back at the buyer's address and not mine. And eBay actually gave me my $900 back.
Woo!
Because it showed delivered to a different address. So flowers to eBay for actually sticking up for it. So I got to keep my full sale. But the 2 days after I got them involved, which a slow day for me is like $800 or $900. I'm usually just a hair over $1,000 up into the $1,300, $1,400 range. The 2 days following that where they stepped in were under $400.
Dang.
They got that money back one way.
Yeah.
That's like, do they throttle your account when you have them step in and do something like that? Because I never have a day under $400, hardly ever.
Like you gotta spank
2 in a row. That's why people hate it. But typically, if it's not a $900 item, and I usually just do the 50% deduction and get half my money back and let it go, because I feel like they kind of punish you when you get them involved. And I would have made more than the $900 if I most likely, you can't prove it, but I'd have most likely made more than the $900 the next 2 days. So I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory of mine that if you get them involved, they kind of throttle you for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
A little sugar and spice. Yikes.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they give you your money back. And then, well.
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes it's so hard to understand the whole rhyme or reason of why it goes so much like this sometimes.
Like, I think there is something to what Sean's talking about, because I feel like as your store gets to a certain size, you can almost predict within, a pretty good range what your daily sales are going to be. Like Sean's figured it out. Like, we have a pretty good range of $300 to $400 that we know essentially we're going to hit every single day. And so when a day comes through where it's significantly lower than that, I do feel like something is going on in the background. And there was a couple of times last fall where we had, like 3 or 4 slower days, not, real slow, but it had gotten slower after, a busy weekend. And I'd had to call eBay about something else. And I had mentioned to them, like, hey, is something going on with our store? We're all in good standing. Traffic seems to be really low. What is there anything going on? And they responded at that time like, oh no, your store's in great shape. Everything looks fine. The next day, traffic spikes, sales spike, like that lasts for 2 or 3 days. And then it starts to level off again back to where we had previously been. So I do wonder sometimes, it just seems like more than a coincidence at times where certain things can trigger, your store. And like, if you had a smaller store, then maybe you're going to see wilder swings, up or down. But I think once you get to a store size where you have a pretty significant amount of listings and you can predict what your sales are going to be every day or your traffic's going to be, once you start to see things outside of that standard deviation, it's a little questionable.
And this is all you would say with daily listing in mind, right? Like, this has nothing to do with you guys all of a sudden stop listing. You're still listing daily, doing the same thing, and then still seeing like a drop off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's strange.
Actually, the way I do my listing goal, I do a dollar amount where $1,000 is my minimum. So on like a $400 day, I'm still doing the $1,000 worth of listings. So I grew significantly more on those 2 days than I typically do because my sales were so low. Because usually if I have like a $900 day and I do the $1,000 worth of listings, I'm only growing by 100. Or then if I go over 1,000 and then I just round up to the next 100. So if I have a 1250 day, I'll do $1,300. So I'm always growing like $50 to $100 a day. But on those $400 days, I was growing by $600 every single day. So my growth was great dollar wise those days. So it just happened right after I got them involved.
Glad it only lasted a couple days.
Yeah. Gary and Amy, what about you guys? Are you seeing a summer slowdown, or are we ranking up and seeing more sales coming in or is it just like steady?
Yeah, I think, end of May and most of June, it had slowed down quite a bit, or, enough to where we noticed it. Mm-hmm. And then over the last 10 days or so, I think we're starting to see our traffic go back to normal. And it really nothing outside of the range of what, I would suspect something's going on in the background, but just people were out on vacation. They're not on eBay. They're not shopping. But here recently, I'm starting to see more like back to school type sales. A lot of like college and professional football stuff is selling. Nice. A lot of school type stuff. We're seeing a lot more bulk orders, like multiple item orders going out. And that's traditionally been kind of an indication that we're getting in back to school.
Right out of that slowdown.
In reference to us, because we do primarily clothes too, is Vinted had their free shipping. So I think a lot of people are buyers are going to Vinted for the deals. Like it's kind of the garage sale, $5 range. And I think a lot of people are experimenting with that. The 25th was supposed to be the last day of free shipping there. I think today it's still free shipping. So
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that contributes a little bit.
Had an effect on some eBay sales for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I know you guys mentioned you were sourcing there a little bit as well as listing some items there, right?
We pulled in from St. Louis the other day, and I think Gary about had a heart attack.
Like our mailbox was stuffed full. Our front porch is packed. I think I don't know. People can sign up through the post office to get like a daily email that shows what your mail is coming in that day. Informed delivery is what it's called. Mm-hmm. It'll usually tell you how many packages or whatever you have coming. And I think we had 40 some coming the other day.
I'm not sure what happened.
Sourcing on Vinted. So
man,
free shipping makes a big difference for sure.
When we our trip to get to St. Louis, and so while he's driving, I can source while we're on our way to source.
Nice.
That's best, right?
That's
I like that.
Awesome. Yeah. I have one more question before there's a question in the chat. I blanked out on my question though. Let me think.
Is there any AI software that will scan items and give you comps? I don't know of one because the comps eBay locks the comps where third-party developers can't access the comps. So usually the comps aren't very good on those apps from my experience.
Yeah, so Nifty just launched something similar. It's not great. It's not there yet. Hopefully it'll grow. I sell primarily plush, and I'm seeing like recommendations just what plush did I list? I don't know, something from Corpse Bride, and it's showing me just any old plush sales, right, as the sales comp. So you can't really rely on it. I assume it's the same for you guys in different categories. Not reliable.
I think they're going to run into the same issues that all the other AI take a picture and get a comp and automatic listing is going to run into because they just don't have access to the numbers. So there's nothing better than good old eBay sold comps, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I agree.
Or if you want to pay, what's the one that you pay for?
I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
WorthPoint, but they're just using eBay solds too, right. So you just go to eBay and get them for free. So,
damn.
I do use Curio a lot, only because I sell a lot of glass. But Curio tends to be higher. I still like to go by eBay and maybe somehow meet in the middle between Curio and eBay, because
I haven't heard.
I wanted to move.
Curio.
I wanted to move. Curio is mostly glass.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's other things, but a lot of glass sellers use Curio.
I have to remember that because I know nothing of glass, and I like picking it up. I don't like shipping it. I'm scared of shipping it. There was another question there in the chat. Do all of y'all pass along your shipping discount, or do you do regular shipping charging tier?
That's a big topic for me right now.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Ruthanne.
Well, one thing that a problem that I've come upon now in all these glass sales is I've always done discounted shipping on Whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually okay. But last week I did 2 $2,500 shows.
Let's go.
And I had 4 buyers though. Here's where it comes in. You offer that discounted shipping. Mm-hmm. And I had 2 in the first show, 2 in the second show that just bought like crazy. 35, 40 items. Okay, they spent hundreds of dollars, but I ended up picking up over $200 of shipping in the second show and about $165 in the first show. And I've just I've been in a meeting with ChatGPT many times about what am I going to do for the future. And I've asked a couple other sellers, and I think I have to raise my minimum. I have to raise my minimum buyer pays, because I can't do that. I can't have somebody come in. I'm grateful that they bought all those pieces, but at the same time, it's heavy. Some of them had 6 boxes going, and they only paid for the first box.
Right. So for anybody who isn't on Whatnot, the max shipping is $9.21 currently for the entirety of the show. So she runs for 8 hours and has, 1,000 pieces. How many pieces can you do in 8 hours? You get $9.21 max for the whole show. You can buy whatever you want for that one shipping price. And I've seen arguments go both ways, Ruthanne, for bigger sellers. And maybe you're getting there, but you're not quite there yet. I don't know, because I'm a little fish in a big pond.
Out on there.
Yeah, because they'll argue, okay, you paid $200 in shipping, but you made $2,500. That's the argument.
But on that one person, if I've paid, let's just say I paid $125 in shipping, of those 35 pieces, 5 or 6 of them were free.
Would it mess you up too? I used to source quite a bit from a clothing reseller on there, and she would only do hours, or she'd do 200 items per show, which was about an hour show because she'd run through really quick. She'd shut it off and then start the next show and run it for an hour. Would that
reset people's shipping?
That is not a bad idea. But what I thought I would do, what I was thinking about doing, is raising the minimum to $24.99. It would cover me a little bit more.
But what about the people, the minimum? What about the people that are only going to buy 1 or 2?
Exactly. Well, they're still going to pay their shipping if they only buy 1 or 2.
What about, and don't ask me how, because we have to find some videos out there, but there is you can put a max, right? You can put a max of how many items per box they're going to get.
Can you?
Yes. We might have to bother.
So that was a question I had. Could I, and that just seems bad too. Seems bad to limit to somebody what they can buy. So I'm really trying to come up with the answer there.
We don't limit what they can buy.
I like Gary and Amy's idea of having shorter shows.
Mm-hmm. I just stole it from a lady that did that to me.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, especially in your category for glass, right? Kind of putting a max on how much you have to ship to. But there is a way to put you don't max how much the customer can buy, just how many items. Like if they pay $9.21, maybe you put a limit of 3 or 4 per box. And then after they buy 4 items, they have to pay another $9.21 for the next box. There's a way to do it, but I don't know how.
Okay. Might have to, maybe Amanda would know that. She's kind of a Whatnot guru.
She is, but she sells smalls.
Yes, she does.
So I don't think that's why I don't know, because I don't run into that issue a lot with,
You know what I wish, guys? You know what I really wish? I wish all the platforms were more helpful. I wish it wasn't like an act of Congress to get an answer from any one of the platforms is very difficult to get help. I mean, it's very time consuming.
I wonder if Whatnot Help or FAQs or Q&As or whatever have something on that. I bet we could figure it out together, but there's
Anyway,
something.
so that's my shipping issue right now. I'm trying to decide how I'm going to meet in the middle of selling a lot and being good to my customers. You know, sometimes in the past, way past, if I would do affordable shipping, and like I used to have a customer that would come in and buy 45, 50 items every time. Then she would dump me a big tip because she knew it was going to kill me. Well, none of these people, you know, they're not thinking like that. And I realize that a lot of times they don't really understand.
Yeah.
Some of them do, some of them don't.
Yeah,
So,
but Whatnot is a completely different ballgame. What
It
about
is.
you guys on eBay? Are you guys passing along the discounts to your customers, or across the other platforms too? I think Poshmark you can. Gary and Amy?
We don't, because we have our shipping is all set up on just a flat rate, and we just set up different price buckets for our clothes. So we have mainly 3 different price buckets that we use depending on kind of the weight, and that has worked really well until recently when USPS has changed some of the way they're calculating their shipping. But prior to that, you know, we would just take like a t-shirt and we'd say, okay, it's $6.85 is our first price bucket. And that price would get that shirt sent to no matter where in the United States. And it would cover us if it's going to the state of Washington or Florida or Maine, wherever.
Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. Hawaii, Alaska, whatever. And so that amount would cover that particular shirt. I knew how much that would weigh when I was taking the pictures, just because of the repetitiveness of what we've done. And then we would have a small overage, which we would help offset the cost of like our poly mailer and our bag and a little business card that we throw in, just all the little overhead stuff that comes with it. And then that does also help offset, like if there's a return, if there's an item not as described where we have to refund the original shipping, like you build a small bank of shipping overage with all of those price buckets. So that has worked really well. Now, recently, like within the last couple of weeks, the USPS has changed the way they're calculating. And that's been very difficult to navigate because it used to be very predictable based on geography where something, you know, how much something would be, you know, charged. Whereas now it's, you know, almost random as to is a zip code that you're sending an item to considered rural? Is it urban? There's a different rate for some of those zip codes. So an item that's going to Florida in one zip code could be $6, and another one going to the next town over considered rural might be $9. So there may be an argument for calculated in that regard. And unfortunately for us, it was just so much easier to assign one of our shipping price buckets to whatever item, you know, we have. It could be a sweatshirt, could be a pair of shoes, whatever. We just threw it in that price bucket. And most of the time, probably 98% of the time, we'd have enough of a small overage to kind of build that shipping bank to help offset the cost of the overhead, item not as described returns, stuff like that. But now, you know, it's a little bit more questionable. So I noticed that we've been using FedEx for probably about 20 to 25% of our shipments, just because they're a little bit cheaper to some of those rural zip codes that the post office is now more expensive with.
That's interesting. I didn't know about the rural versus city type thing. I sent something to Arkansas and it was almost $9 to ship. Arkansas, I'm like, that's not that far. It used to be like $6 or something. So
the really weird part is it under a pound, and then over a pound is actually cheaper. So a lot of people are sticking rocks and stuff in their shipments to make it heavier.
So right now, between 2 and 5 pounds, the rate for the USPS is dramatically, you know, lower than it had been. So
it's like $5.89.
Yeah. So if you have, you know, a pair of shoes or something right now, you know, and our price bucket was, you know, $10 or $12 and we ship it for $5, then we'll send, you know, a small refund back for that, just because it's like more than double what we collected for shipping on those items. So yeah, it's very strange and it's hard to navigate. Calculated may be a whole different animal. We haven't looked into it. And But yeah, I know that there's an option for, giving that refund. Either way you go, it's just you can do it automatically, I think, with calculated.
Yeah, shipping is up in the air right now. And when I look this up, Google, and I think there's something on USPS that says you're not supposed to get charged if you overstate your weight. But there have been people
Yeah,
coming out and saying,
there have been, and we've got hit with a couple of those just because
Really?
we were at like 1 pound, 14 ounces, and I just put 2, and then we got dinged for like $1 or whatever. So
doesn't USPS recommend you to
Yes.
round up?
yeah,
What
to the
is
next
that?
pound. But if you go to the next pound and you go into a different weight class, then
Right, exactly. Then they're not making as much money.
Yeah.
So the new, the
my
new prices have really helped people that ship heavy things.
Yeah.
But
My
it's
only issue with it,
confusing the buyer.
it'd be
The
fine
little
if the post office was consistently enforcing that, but we get dinged on stuff that is, like a legitimate, we get like a t-shirt that is say 8 ounces, and then the post office comes back and says, well, this is actually 3 pounds. And it's like, there's no way. Our package got stuck to another one on the conveyor belt, and we got dinged with the overage. So it's like, I don't quite buy all those. And then we'll have some, it goes the other way too. Like, a t-shirt is, or like a sweatshirt is 1 pound, 10 ounces. And it comes back and it says, oh, this was only 2 ounces. So here's $3 back. And it's like, well, so sometimes it all shakes out in the wash, but it's very frustrating sometimes to see what adjustments do happen.
Yeah, these are frustrating times for shipping. Sean, are you passing on your discounts to your buyers, or what do you think of the madness that is USPS right now?
I am passing it on because I sell stuff from 1 ounce to 100 pounds. So I use calculated shipping, so it calculates the exact amount from my zip code to the buyer's zip code based on the weight and dimensions. And I pass it on because I think that's something that buyers are looking at. And me being an experienced eBayer, if I'm buying on eBay and I see somebody have this real light phone that I'm buying and they have $15 shipping on it, I know that they're gouging me on shipping.
Right.
So, for example, if I pay $10 for this mic at a yard sale and I can sell it for $50 plus $8 shipping, and the next guy has his listed for $50 but plus $12 shipping, mine's going to sell before his, and I get to make my $40 profit right away. And he may have to wait till all the other people who have lower shipping than him. So I just think it gives me a competitive advantage, and I just buy at the margins that I know it's going to cover my bubble wrap in my box. I buy my boxes in bulk, so they're pretty affordable when you buy as many as I do. And I just built into my price and my margins, and I'd rather have the competitive advantage of just passing on my discount to the buyer.
It sounds like Red Relics agrees and put it to the test. I did a test last week. I have passed on my shipping discount. Wait. I did a test last week. I have passed on my discount. So I turned it off for a week, and it was the worst week ever when he turned off the discount. So
you got a competitive advantage over everyone that has the exact same item you do if you're passing it on.
That's how I list too. I always list a lower weight than the one that I'm selling similar to, than the other ones. I always, because I know that I'm going to get the discount anyway. I may, even by selling it at a lower, listing it at a lower weight rate, I'm still going to be fine on the shipping.
You don't have to change the weight, lower the weight. There's a setting in your settings that you can just pass on your USPS discount, and you don't have to guess by the weight. You can put your exact weights and dimensions in and put your setting at to pass on the discount to your buyers, and it will charge the buyer
exactly what
your UPS is charging you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to under guess the weight. You can change a setting in there for you.
Okay.
And is that only with calculated shipping, Sean? I think
calculated would be the only one it would affect because the other one's free or flat rate. So flat rate, you just make up your random price of what you want it, and it's free. So it'd be only for calculated.
I should try that because that might totally affect my sales.
Yeah.
I do have one question when it comes to calculated because we don't have really any experience with it. But when it comes to the eBay fee on shipping, if the calculated shipping is say $10, and you pass the savings along, you pay the $10 for the shipping, the buyer pays the $10 for the shipping, right? Like it's the same amount.
Yeah.
Right.
You still get tagged for the eBay fee on the shipping.
Yeah.
13%.
The eBay fee is just the grand total of the transaction.
Right.
With the sales tax and
Include your
everything.
yeah. So there is one. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was the case, but I know that's what we deal with on the flat rate is like if our shipping's $685, 13% of that $685 is paid into eBay for their fee as well because it is part of the overall.
Yeah, it's the same deal. You're paying the same fee.
So, but you guys have that built into your price that you're giving, right? Because you have presets. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was curious if it's calculated and it's costing you $10 to ship it. The buyer paid you $10. Technically, you're losing out on $1.30, so you're having to eat that into the profit.
But I just try to buy it the crazy margins that a lot of us buy at. Where if I'm buying something for $10 and selling it for $50 or $60, I feel like I can eat that extra $1.30 or whatever it is.
I think I've talked to a lot of folks just on the one-on-one doing like store reviews, and one area that we tend to hit a lot, and for anybody watching this, on a replay, I think it's interesting if you go to your sales tab in eBay and you scroll down about halfway down the page, there's a lot of information on that seller hub under the sales tab, and it will show you for whatever time frame. You can sort it by this year, this month, whatever, but it'll show you the amount that you collected in shipping. So whatever if you're doing flat rate or calculated, and then in the box below that, it'll show you how much you've paid out if you're buying your labels on eBay. And so I always try to direct folks to look and see, how much did you collect in shipping versus how much did you pay out in shipping, and try to get that number to where you're not, hopefully you're not upside down or losing money on shipping. And if you are you absorbing that in your profit margin with everything that you're selling? And I think for some folks, and maybe a lot of times for newer sellers, it might be the first time they've ever seen those numbers. So I just try to encourage them to keep an eye on it, especially if it's, if they feel like their shipping is too low or too high. That kind of tells the picture. It does only work if you're buying your eBay labels on eBay. I think if you're buying them on Pirate Ship, you probably won't have the correct information in there.
Right.
Sure. It won't come over for you.
Yeah.
You have to buy them on eBay.
Yeah. Okay, we have a couple more comments here. Rad said, we also just started processing this month, and wow, it was silly for not doing that sooner. Game changer. Agreed. Just read the marketplace rules for what can be listed, as not every eBay item can be listed on other marketplaces. Yeah, like electronic items on Depop. I keep forgetting to not.
Yeah, I get mine kicked off all the time. I get that little email seconds after I accidentally click on there. Hey, we're kicking this off Depop.
I get it with the stinking animated plush. It's so annoying.
Not everything can go over to Etsy either. So
yeah, vintage. Yeah.
It has to be vintage or homemade. And there's a lot of, like, for instance, a lot of plush can only go to Mercari, Poshmark. It can't go to Etsy because it's not homemade and it's not vintage. So
right. Yeah, it can get a little tricky. I get more caught up on the Depop one than the vintage one, I think. But Etsy, I guess, doesn't. When you add the item on Nifty, it gives you like the estimated year, so it doesn't let you even list it. Depop will let you list it, and then you get the dang email moments later that it got removed. Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right, and then there was another comment here that said, did you guys see that Facebook Marketplace released a new seller app that people are calling more eBay-like? Sooner or later, Facebook will monetize more like other platforms. I have not heard of this. Have you guys?
I did see that there was a release for a new marketplace seller app, and some people had tried it, and it did look like it had a listing flow that was a lot better than what is currently in the Facebook app. But I have not downloaded it and haven't tried it out.
So we're talking about a separate app completely run by Facebook, not Marketplace?
I think so. I think it's run by maybe Meta, or I could be wrong on that. There was something in there that had Meta AI. So I'm wondering if there wasn't some AI built in to where it was providing some, item specifics or description or something like that. So, but I have not played with it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it at all. So
I've heard about it, but I don't have the patience for Marketplace. So I get my blood pressure going with all the crazy dumb messages. So
Oh, don't get me started on blood pressure. Yikes.
That's another show.
I have recently learned that I have high blood pressure. I'm like, what the heck? What?
Cheapers, you're young for that. Beet juice, Ellie.
Beet
Get
juice?
on your beet powder.
I like beets. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but you can't eat enough beets. You got to get on a beet supplement.
A beet supplement?
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
I feel so
That
naive.
worked in this house.
Oh, well. Okay, there was one more question, and this is going back to the AI listing, so I'm going to pin it and then read it because I didn't get to read it all the way through. Jason says, question further on the AI response. What about an AI variation? For example, let's say you have 20 CDs or 20 video games. Can you, and is it accurate to say, what are the 3 most valuable widgets within this lot? The hope would be to take the top items rather than have to research tons of low dollar items. Is there something like that that exists? Thanks so much, Jason.
I've tried something like that before where I was at a Goodwill and, like where the CDs and the DVDs are at. And I brought up Chat GPT and took a picture of the shelf. And I said, tell me, or do any of these titles sell for more than $10 on a regular basis on eBay in the last 90 days? Mm-hmm. This was probably about 6 months ago, so it may be better now. And it tried to spit out 3 or 4 options. And then when I pulled those and looked at comps, I couldn't really see where that evidence existed. But I do think that there's something down that road that, could get better to where you just take a picture of, a whole lot like he's talking about. And it says, these 3 are, your best pulls from that lot.
I actually have experience with a similar app. A company reached out to me called Flipper, wanting to pay me to make videos in thrift stores of me going and using their app, taking a picture of the CD or DVD rack, and then it was supposed to scan them all, and then it pulled up from top to bottom. You could sort from high to low price. So I was like, that sounds awesome if it works. I always skip that side of the store because I don't have time to through. I was like, that'd be a game changer if I could just go in there and do that real quick. So I tried it, and it showed me that the top one was like this $86 DVD. So I went and pulled it, and I verified it myself with eBay, and it was like a $5 free shipping DVD, and there was a lot of that. So the app did a really good job of scanning it, reading a title, and then making a profile for every single one. But the comps were nowhere near what they were supposed to be. So I decided not to take their money and make videos for them because I'm not going to try to promote something that doesn't work and make money off of it and get other people to buy that app and them having that experience. So
right.
It did a good job of scanning and reading them, but the comping, like I've talked about before, it was way off and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, but think about how close, things are going to get to being able to really do that really well and really fast.
Yeah.
If the thrift stores implement that themselves, they already have all of their online stores. They could be doing that in the back room, and a big box of DVDs gets donated. They use whatever app that is, and then they just pluck the ones and send them off to Shop Goodwill or whatever. And
Goodwill employees are dumb enough to price that DVD $86 because the app told them to.
Yikes. Definitely. Bob always talks about, is it Ingenic AI? Something like that.
I think you're right.
They'll get there soon. Maybe next year. We'll see. But that brings us to another good question. And I hadn't planned on this one, but I've seen, I guess in the Facebook world, people kind of going around and saying, if we don't have the bins, if we don't have thrift stores, resellers don't exist. What do you guys think about that argument?
I think it depends what you sell. I hardly ever go in them. When I'm going in there, it's because I don't have a reel to make for the day. So I'm like, I'll just stop in this Goodwill and make a reel because I don't have content to put. But outside of that, I never go in them. So
yeah, so it doesn't.
I'm not in the niche, but I can see like Gary and Amy's niche. They would be an uphill battle if they lost them. So
yeah, if they didn't exist, it would be tough to find that stuff. I mean, at the root of what the thrift stores do, it's they take donations from people from stuff that they don't want anymore, and then resell it for a cause. And so that desire is still going to exist in some format. I don't think that resellers, obviously they wouldn't use the thrift stores, but they would find other avenues to find those items that people don't want anymore or don't have the patience to sell themselves. And, I think they would still exist. Maybe it does look different somehow, but our thrift store is going to go away even with AI. I highly doubt it, because most of the thrift stores we go in, a lot of Goodwills, like, they're packed full of stuff. The back room is full of stuff. There's a line of cars around the block to donate stuff.
Yep.
They're building, just in our area, they've built, brand new thrift stores that are huge. And so I don't think there's plans to get rid of the brick and mortar type thrift stores. Now, the stuff that's inside of them, maybe the more valuable stuff gets pulled out and gets sent to their online stores or whatever. Because
we're already seeing that. Yeah.
And maybe that gets better, but I still think that there's an avenue for finding, valuable items in the stores, because again, you're relying on the employees there, and they're all working to try to get through as much stuff as possible. And they only have a limited amount of time to actually touch an item to decide, is this going to online or is this going out on the floor, and then determining a price. So
I think
that's why I think connections are so important. We've talked about this before, that to try to be the person between the person's junk at home and the thrift store, try to be the middleman that they call and say, hey, I got 10 boxes of stuff. Do you want it? So connections are extremely, I think about what I'm making right now off of a connection, and that's going to keep, if the thrift stores do start, if that ever happens and the thrift stores start dissipating or going away or something like that, connections are going to be even more important then. Word of mouth. Tell people what we do.
I think it's horse poop. I think that we live in a world of over consumerism, and there will never be a shortage of used items.
Yep. I agree, Ellie.
Item resellers.
There's always going to be people having garage sales that want to get rid of the rest of their stuff.
Somewhat. Have you guys seen free, like, in a garage sale, free pickup, take the whole haul, because I don't want to put it back inside. It's not going to go anywhere. And I commented that on this post that I saw, and I got I didn't respond back after this, but they responded saying, kind of digging in their heels, that resellers don't exist. Yes, things will dry up if thrift stores decide to, sell their own stuff at higher prices or sell whatever the matter be, and our source disappears. I don't believe it. We have, first of all, here in the US, there's just so much stuff. There's just so much. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, that's my take.
You were talking,
and we're doing a service, even though we have haters. We're doing a great service to the whole world, really, because we're doing the searching for items that other people want
and can use, and can benefit from.
Use. And I get kind of frustrated with the haters. I've gotten a couple haters since I started doing content. And
already?
Yes, already.
You just started, Ruthanne.
I know. And it's just like, they just don't understand that we are working hard to find items for people that want them. But they don't see it that way. They just think we're getting filthy, stinking rich.
My favorite argument is that we're stealing from the poor.
Yes.
I don't think they understand we are the poor. Not you guys. You guys are $500,000. No. But at least a lot of the stories that I've come across with resellers at least started with, when I was younger, we were poor. This is how we got in, right? So
yes. Well, that's why I started over financially at 50. I had to do something, and this was the answer to my prayer.
Yeah.
Reselling is just amazing.
You were talking about being too much stuff, how there's too much stuff out there. I had a buddy come by my shop the other day, and he dabbles on eBay, like 30, 40 listings at a time, but nothing crazy. And he sees what I'm doing, and he talked, and he's like, I'm thinking about taking it really seriously the rest of the year and try to ramp up to maybe quit my job and go full time next year. But I don't want to do it because you're in this area and I don't want to take from you. And I laughed, and I said, I can't list what I have now. Like,
Do it, man.
I was like, I'll wholesale stuff to you. Like, so I was like, you're not gonna be stepping on my toes. If you have any questions, just you got
Yeah.
my phone number. I'm more than happy to help you. So,
And he doesn't understand you're selling to the whole world.
Right.
And there's so much stuff in your area, Sean, that you're missing. That
Yeah.
you know.
I didn't
mean,
even
like,
go garage sailing this past weekend because I have too much stuff right now. So like,
Go show him a
It's-
Gary Vee video.
Yeah.
Selling stuff on eBay.
I have listened to a couple of his. Speaking of blood pressure, I can only he kind of ramps my blood pressure up. He's got
reminds
an
me of
energy.
Dave Ramsey.
Huh?
He reminds me of Dave Ramsey rants when Ramsey would like yell at. He's simmered down some in his older age, but he used to do some good rants.
Yeah.
That's what he reminds me of. All right. Well, it's been a great episode. We're coming on the hour. I think I covered all the comments. Any more questions in the comments before we go? I don't
Thank
think
you
so.
to you guys that are in the chat. We really appreciate you being in the chat, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for all the questions.
Yeah, you guys rock. Definitely helped me through this episode. Hopefully the tariff wars settle at some point.
Yeah.
I miss global sales for sure. Used to make up half of my sales. Wow, that's a big chunk. I'm still seeing global sales coming in. Are you guys?
I've
had
gotten several this week.
I had an interesting one. I sold a sale in May to somebody in South Africa, and it didn't come, and it didn't come, and it didn't come, and she wanted a refund. And I said, it will come, but you live in South Africa. Okay. I mean, you could see on the tracking that it had left Illinois, the Illinois shipping center, and it was an Etsy, and it had left. I said, it will come. I'm telling you, it will come. It just could be a month, And nope, she insisted on a refund. So then it came, and I was just like, I was kind of frustrated. Then we had to get into contact because there's no way for me to get my money then. So finally, and she's sleeping when I'm awake, and so finally I got to talk to this woman in South Africa, and luckily, because I've had a business for so long, I have a Square on my phone. So I was able to take her credit card over the phone. But it was kind of interesting.
Oh, nice.
It was a lot of hullabaloo for
I had the opposite happen. I had a sale that was supposed to go to Washington, and it somehow went to Guam. That was on Etsy, so Etsy buyer protection or seller protection kind of jumped in there. So it was odd.
Yeah.
Well, I want to encourage everyone to try something new this week. We've talked about a lot of different methods, different ideas, cross-listing, not cross-listing, offering shipping discounts and such. Try something new and come and tell us about how it changed your business. Progress over
check out my automation. I got to check out my automation after this conversation. So that's one of the first
I need
things.
to return it on. Sometimes it turns off. Remember, progress over perfection. And I want to thank all of my co-hosts for being here. Ruthanne,
We appreciate you, Ellie.
Sean, I
Great
appreciate you.
job tonight.
Good job.
Ellie, you're gonna have to give Bob a hard time that when you run the show, the chat's full. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob.
Deal with that.
you're gonna have to give him a
I
hard
tried to
time.
incorporate you guys today. I figured it was a little bit easier on me. I appreciate you guys all staying and watching and chatting. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. Everybody have a great week.
Bye.
Let's see.
I love it.
Don't look at me. Hold on. I think I got the wrong outro. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
You got this, Ellie. You got this way better than me.
Bob knows.
I know that. You got this way better than me.
Brad Relics, I can't play the guitar. I just think it looks cool on the wall.
Okay, I got it. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great
Bye.
week.